Psychological abuse bullying is often known as the silent abuse, as it isn't readily reported and it's hard to prove. It happens in our workplace and our school grounds and in our own homes. Unlike psychological abuse, there is no bruises and broken bones. Therefore, abuse and bullying leaves no obvious marks. Psychological abuse bullying is about someone manipulating your emotions on a psychological level. It is fair to say that there is not much information talked about in psychological abuse and bullying, that the people that do the abuse bullying may not know that they are doing this. Perhaps it is a behaviour they have learnt from a childhood. For an example, if you learn English at home, you speak English as you grow older. Of course, people can learn different behaviours and change their behaviour also as an adult. Abusers can manipulate situations, lie, intimidate, hurt, humiliate, do the guilt trip. They will do whatever it takes to stay in control of their victims. So child abuse can be found in many places. For an example, child abuse, school, home and the workplace. And today what we're going to be doing is talking about how this affects people in the workplace. Definition of a workplace bullying is repeated, unreasonable or appropriate behaviour towards someone which may offend, degrade, humiliate, intimidate or physically harm. Another definition we have here is workplace bullying is repeated, health harming, mistreatment of one or more persons, the targets, by one or more perpetrators. It is an abusive conduct that is threatening, humiliating or intimidating, and it can be work interference such as sabotage, which prevents work from getting done, or verbal abuse. Also in the workplace, the intimidation, setting up employees with impossible tasks and timeframes, changing rosters to inconvenience employees, deliberately withholding information which is vital for an employee to do their job, disregard your input, ignoring you, excluding or isolating someone, physical and verbal abuse, yelling or joke-telling, which may be racial in some ways. It can increase absenteeism in the workplace, decrease work production, employees taking sides and dividing the team, turnover of staff, poor morale, costs of EAP counselling or mediation, legal costs and time addressing these issues, and further recruitment. And how does workplace bullying affect the worker? There is growing research every day about this, which indicates that individuals, whether child or adult, who are persistently subjected to abusive behaviour are at risk of stress-related illnesses. And we can find quite a lot of that information these days on the net. How does workplace bullying affect the worker? Insecure, lack of input at work, start judging themselves, lack of confidence and self-esteem, scared, stressed, anxious, and for some people even depression. They may not want to come to work, feeling trapped. This may be particular in Tasmania where there isn't as many jobs to apply for. Loss of trust with work colleagues and management. Some physical symptoms would be a loss of appetite, loss of sleep, stressed, anxious, feeling sick, back, neck and headaches, muscle cramps and lack of concentration. That can be for their personal life as well as in their work situation. Some emotions and long-term effects. Those who have been targets of bullying can suffer long-term emotional and behavioural problems. It can cause loneliness, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, social difficulties, and for some people even suicide, post-traumatic stress disorders, withdrawal, lack of self-worth, sleep, eating disorders, relationship at work, home and family, and for some people, drug and alcohol dependency. With that, it's when you get home, you think, I just can't stand this anymore, I need a glass of wine. All of a sudden you need 2 glasses of wine, and then you think 2 glasses of wine just aren't cutting it, I'll have a third and a fourth. And there we have then another issue as well. Employees and employers are responsible to report workplace bullying. Duties of employees: to make the bullying known to the supervisor's management. You may not be the only person being bullied, and everyone deserves a safe environment to work in. Seek the company's policies and procedures manuals. Employers to take their workplace duty of care seriously and act in accordance to their policy and procedures. There's a lot of information here which you can find on the net. I think if you just Google 30 signs of abuse bullying, we have a whole range of them here. I'll just go through these just quickly. It might be that you get, and these are also for work and home, by the way. People may humiliate you, put you down, or make fun of you in front of other people. They regularly demean or disregard your opinions, ideas, suggestions, or needs. They use sarcasm or teasing to put you down, to make you feel bad about yourself. They accuse you of being too sensitive in order to deflect their own abusive remarks. They try and control and treat you like a child. They correct or chastise you for your behaviour. You may feel you need permission to make a decision or go somewhere. They try to control the finances and how you spend money. They belittle you, your accomplishments, or your hopes and dreams. They try and make you feel as though that they are always right and you are wrong. They give you disapproving or body looks, and we've got to remember that body language is very important for abuse. They regularly point out your flaws, mistakes, or shortcomings. They accuse or blame you of things you know aren't true. They have an inability to laugh at themselves and can't tolerate others laughing at them. They are intolerant of any lack of respect. They make excuses for their behaviour, try to blame others, and have difficulty apologising. They repeatedly cross your boundaries and ignore your requests. They can call you names, give you unpleasant labels, or make cutting remarks under their breath. They are emotionally distant or emotionally unavailable most of the time. They resort to pouting or withdrawal, get attention to obtain what they want. They don't show you empathy or compassion. They play the victim and try to deflect blame on you rather than taking personal responsibilities. They disengage or use neglect or abandonment to punish or frighten you. They don't seem to notice or care about your feelings. They view you as an extension of themselves rather than as an individual. They withhold sex as a way to manipulate and control. Let's hope that's at home. They share personal information about you and with others. They invade or deny their emotional abusive behaviour when confronted. They make subtle threats or negative remarks with the intent to frighten or control you. So education does need to take place in the workplace so that both the abused and the abusers can understand patterns and reasons for their behaviour. No blame and good communication. Through good education, we can look at no blame. We do look at bad behaviours that they may have learned. As we have learnt bad behaviours, we can also learn good behaviours. We can learn resilience and good communication tools. What I'm going to show you shortly is an abuse cycle which I've designed and been using for many years. It helps people, the abused, staying ahead of the abuser to see patterns in their own behaviour and others' behaviour around them so that they can make changes. Okay. So when we get onto the abuse cycle, what you're going to see is someone may feel trapped and someone is controlling them, or a situation that they are in, and this can be in various degrees. This can be in their own home, work environment, or school. So here we have one here. Okay. This is to explain people where they are in the cycle, what's going to take place, how to get out, reasons for going back over old behaviours, etc., and going back into the abuse cycle, which is often people don't understand. Okay, so if we're looking at this abuse cycle, it can be someone's feeling trapped and someone has the control. So we're shifting around now from the okay around to the some abuse. So in some abuse, if we're talking about the workplace, it can be things like using little negativities all the time, constantly questioning the work of someone, embarrassing someone in the workplace, in front of others, purposely changing rosters to inconvenience employees, intimidating, and using negative body language. So that's going around into that some abuse area. We're going around now to the full abuse. Someone might be telling you at work that you're stupid. They might be offending you, degrading you, humiliating, telling that you're useless, questioning you, where did you get your qualifications from, or making fun of you. The honeymoon phase. Someone might say, sorry mate, that was a bit harsh. Can I help you with that? Can I get you a cup of coffee? What are you doing tomorrow? So in other words, what they're doing is changing the subject and buttering you up a little bit again. The okay phase, no particular highs or lows, it's just travelling. But the abused person will start to feel this shift again, and there will be some tension rising. So the abuse cycle will continue again if the abuser does not get help to seek their behaviour, or does not seek information on what exactly is going on. So with the abuse cycle, what we can see here, it can be in stages. We can have okay and some abuse. We can have okay, some abuse, honeymoon. Okay, some abuse, full abuse, honeymoon, so we get that whole cycle. And in severe cases, you may get okay, some abuse, full abuse, where we never actually get to that honeymoon phase. So if you can imagine, if you're working in a workplace and you're in this situation that you're actually putting yourself into every day because we're feeling trapped, we can't get out, no other jobs, I have to pay the bills, etc. For you mentally, that's a huge issue, and over a period of time it really does affect that person and the workplace as well. The abused person hangs on to the honeymoon phase, as it can be the only time in their workplace which perhaps is good. The bullied person wants to believe that their life can be as good as others, and that this time they hope the abuser is going to change. It is fair to say that maybe the abuser does not know the full extent of their behaviour. If the abuser has seen this behaviour growing up and no one has ever questioned them about their behaviour, then perhaps the abuser thinks their behaviour is normal. Or if the abuser has got away with the abuse at work, perhaps again they think their behaviour is normal and accepted. Hence, it is imperative that the abuser does not get away with bad behaviour. They're not mind readers, so if we don't tell them, perhaps they don't know. So who needs to take the first move out of this abuse cycle? It has to be the abused person to make that first move. Why would the abuser do anything to stop it? They have it sweet. So it has to be the abused person to make the call. So for the abused person to start taking some control back, what we're going to do is start moving them up to the left-hand side there of this cycle that you can see. To do this, we start with them, those 3 lines there, 3 plans, 3 contact people. and perhaps an EAP counsellor. So what we're going to do is now move them out of that. And I always work with these 3 plans and 3 contact people for support. For an example, if you're wanting to go in to make a change and something goes wrong, you're very vulnerable. But if you have 3 plans and you go into a change which isn't good, 1 fails, you've still got 2, you're still strong enough to create another. So you're always a step ahead with you feeling more comfortable about yourself. Okay. An abused person can also feel confused. They might like their work colleague, but at times their behaviour isn't good and they're confused with this. So what I would say to someone like that is, not everyone is rotten to the core. So therefore, you may like this person, but we have to remember at the times that their behaviour is not acceptable. And both of you can learn new behaviours so that you can work in a happy and safe environment. The abuser has patterns of behaviours. By the abused altering these patterns, the abuser may feel out of control. So the abuser may use that honeymoon phase to pull you back into that cycle. And if that doesn't work, they may go straight on to full abuse and even guilt. So meanwhile, while the abused person starts to feel, when they get out of that abuse cycle, up on that left-hand side here, that can be an incredible scary place for them. Their self-belief and self-worth may not be good. They may no longer know how to cope alone, as no one is telling them anymore of how and when to do things. They may feel very alone and perhaps have lost workmate support. So reasons for patterns for abused people. If a person has a history of abuse from school or childhood or in the home, they may not know how to live in that honeymoon okay phase. So if we look at that abuse cycle here, honeymoon okay phase, some people just don't know how to live in that. That's scary for them because they're anticipating with their subconscious something's going to go wrong. Okay? If a bully person doesn't like the abuse, and that's important that we need to remember, they may not know how to get out of it. They may not feel good enough about themselves and know how to survive by themselves. Or they may just not understand the abuse cycle. When you're in it, you're in it. So by having something on paper like this, it means you can actually work with it and looking down at it. The abused person will need a lot of support and encouragement from the workplace, friends, and maybe a counsellor to help them with changes that could potentially be scary for them. Confrontation does not need to take place, but good communication does. So checking out workplace duty of care and policies and procedures is a good step. Planning a suitable safe time to chat to the abuser about their behaviour. Who is the correct person to chat to in management if your concerns are not resolved? And who are your support people and have them in place? The support people and a counsellor are very important for the abused while they are working towards change. The bully person needs the support in place to make changes. Someone reliable that understands that this particular time can be very scary for that person that has been bullied. Now we're talking about not returning to the abuse. Once the abused person feels supported, we can learn how not to repeat that same pattern. So for an example, when someone has learned all about this abuse cycle and how to get out, they can start to move forward. Over a period of time, if the person has been using a counsellor and positive support people, they will start to believe in themselves again, but this may take time. By the abused person trying new things in a safe environment, with support, their self-confidence will return slowly. So if we're looking at this abuse cycle at the moment, again, we'll see two circles on the right-hand side. Let's say, for an example, the abused person's gone from the middle to the left-hand side. They're using their 3 support people, 3 plans, their counsellor, they're building up their self-esteem. They're going over now to the right-hand side of the abuse cycle. There's 2 circles. What they're doing here now is meeting someone new. Might be a new work colleague. So when you meet with someone new and you're getting on with them, we can call that the honeymoon phase. It's a good time. But from now on, that person is going to be saying to themselves, where is this going? Is it going honeymoon okay? If so, good. If it's going honeymoon okay, some abuse, they can use some good communication tools, which we'll explain soon, and they can stop. Or they can go back to their support of a counsellor and support people. If, however, they got a good relationship with this person, then what they're going to do is move down to the 3 circles. So here in the 3 circles, we have 2 people that are allowed to have their own thoughts and feelings and allowed to voice them. And in the middle here, what we have is their relationship. Okay. We have to think about one thing though. If someone is trying to control this new relationship here on the right, we may feel we're being suffocated. So therefore we move over to the other side of this abuse cycle where we feel like we're getting strangled, and then we're back into that abuse cycle again. So we have to be very clear about what's good and what's not. We do need to take one step back, and this is really important for someone that's been abused a lot, particularly most of their life. They've gone from the being abused to the top seeking support, over here meeting somebody new. Now we have to remember, by going over here meeting someone new, that can cause an enormous anxiety if that person, that new person in their life, is only going honeymoon okay phase. Because in that abused person's subconscious, they're anticipating the whoomph. They're expecting something to go wrong. So they might start to think something's going wrong and it isn't, or they may even start to create something. And that can be pushing someone away, bringing them in, pushing them away, bringing them in, high, low, high, low. Same as that abuse cycle. In a work situation, they can be friends with them, they don't want to be friends with them, or they can get on with them in doing some work in work and all of a sudden they don't want to do it. So we've got this topsy-turvy thing. So we have to be really careful that the abused person understands that they may feel like that, but what they need to ask themselves is, has this new person in my life hurt me? Or does that feeling come from the past? Okay, I'm just going to flick through a few of these slides so you're up to where I am. Okay. Ooh. Working with a new working relationship. Good communication skills are the most important in any relationship, even at work. So if we're talking about what is good communication tools, some of you will know this. If we actually say to someone, you make me feel, that person is going to feel attacked. And in fact, we can't make anyone feel anything. I can't say to everybody, I'm going to make you feel sad, happy and frustrated in 5 minutes. I can't do it. Instead, we can say, I feel. By saying I feel, we are not attacking someone. We can say, I feel frustrated when you do that. That's good communication. This enables the other person to respond in 3 ways. So let's, for an example, we've got 2 people here. This person tells this person, I feel frustrated when you do that. Good communication. This person can respond in 3 ways. They can come back and say to you, I'm sorry, I didn't know that upset you. fair call, they're not a mind reader if you don't tell them, so therefore they're likely to change their behaviour. They may say for the second one, I don't care how you feel, and if you've got someone that keeps saying to you, I don't care how you feel, you might ask yourself, what am I doing around them? I want to be around people that care how I feel. And in the workplace, well, you're protected by the company's policies and procedures, so it's a good place to pull them out and have a look. And the third one might be, this person over here is telling this one, I'm doing it this way because of. So you actually have an explanation. So these three options are good communication tools and not attacking someone. So if you want to go and have a chat to someone about someone else's behaviour, by using these tools, you know you're using good communication. We have another one, and in the English language we use this every single day. Why is very confrontational. So for an example, if I said to everybody, why did you wear those shoes today? You might think, ooh, you might feel attacked, you might feel you need to justify yourself. So instead of why, we can say, help me understand where you're coming from, or what's the reason behind you doing that or not doing that. So when you think about it, how many times do you hear the why word at work? It can be very confrontational for people, particularly if they've felt bullied in the past. So we want communication and not confrontation. Believing again. Listen to someone helps to build trust. Discussing options, working with adaptable plans helps the person to have something to hang on to and work with going into the future. Be clear with your vision, plans and objectives and roles. This will help create the framework and empower the person. Resilience is turning a problem into a challenge. Turning a mistake into a positive. It's okay to make mistakes. If you empower someone to make decisions, then you have to be willing to allow them to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. It is important that direction is flexible and that there is never a wrong turn. It's just a turn that's been explored at present and it holds no value, but it could for them in the future. Celebrate both successes and failures. Don't just celebrate the successes. Celebrate the person who has given something a go, who took a risk. Maybe they didn't obtain the results intended, but they would have learned valuable information. Is there a loss with abuse and bullying? This is a question for us all to think about. Whether we are the targets of bullying or someone that is witnessing the bullying or the bully, yes, there is a loss for us all. If we are the targets of bullying, you may feel isolated and alone, loss of worthiness, loss of self-esteem, loss of input, loss of being accepted, loss of self, loss of identity, loss of future dreams, direction and purpose. If someone is witnessing the bullying, you may feel scared to intervene, loss of strength, loss of your own values and loss of morals. For the bully, so if you are the bully, in time you may feel loss of friends, loss of work colleagues, loss of being included, loss of feeling in control of self and situations around you. So good communication is vital. With some simple communication tools and respect of others, no one has to be bullied, feel confronted or mistakenly do the confrontation. This makes a healthy workplace, which can be a place to express yourself and your concerns freely, feeling heard and listened. When we feel heard, valued and listened to, there is less anger, stress and loss. This is a really good tool for moving forward for people and for good communication. You may have seen this one before. We can have some headings such as stop, more, same, less and start. So if we're looking in the workplace, you can either get the team to work on this together or you can send them away to think about it. So stop, what does the team need to stop doing? What does the team need to do more of? So the same with what is good. Acknowledge what is good. What will we keep the same? Less, what does the team need to do less of? And start, what does the team need to start doing? Something we do need to remember also, there is situations in the workplace which are not bullying. For an example, actions within the organisation which are required to control and direct work needed for change which is reasonable. And more information of that can be found on the Tasmanian WorkSafe site. So I've just got a couple of little affirmations here I thought I would just quickly read for a couple of seconds. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. Tiptoe if you must, but take that step. If you're wanting change for yourself, go and get it. Whatever you fight, you strengthen. Whatever you resist, persists. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. And one more. Be able to change yourself, and the world will change with you. Thank you. Do I need to turn anything off? Does he ask any questions?
Oh, thank you very much, Jane. Any questions?
Any questions, anyone? No? Okay.
Thank you very much again.
No worries, thank you.
So that was our second live streaming session. Our next session will begin at 11:45, and so please be sure to tune in then. Thank you.